Well, good morning, kids. Pastor Al here. Thanks for joining me today. I've got something I want to show you in just a little bit, but I'm going to start with a little dog video that helps us make the point we're going to talk about today, and that is there are some times in life where you find that it's really not a good idea to be alone, and yeah, you sometimes need other people around just to give you a hand when you need it, including this rather unfortunate canine.
Looking for rat. Oh, found him. Found him. How did this happen? How did this happen?
He'd have been kind of out of luck, right, if there wasn't somebody around to help him. I want to have somebody read you a book today. It's a new book that I got. It's super cool. It's a kid's book. I think you're going to love it. It's called Meg is Not Alone. And it's actually written by somebody whose name is Meg. Her name is Megan Hill. And Megan Hill tells a story about a little girl who has a problem one Sunday morning while she's at church. And, well, it's interesting that the little girl's name is Meg, and the book was written by a woman named Megan. But she's going to read it for us, and I hope that you will enjoy it.
Meg is Not Alone by Megan Hill, illustrated by Samara Hardy. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. John 13:34. Church was over. Meg and her mom and dad were getting their coats. Meg's coat was red with shiny buttons. It was also very high up. Meg stood on her tiptoes to reach it, but she couldn't. Then she jumped, and her fingers just brushed the sleeve. The jump also pushed her into the coats. She jumped again. It was dark and warm and a little scratchy in there. From between the coats, Meg could hear her parents talking. Their voices sounded quiet and fuzzy. "I think I'll walk home," her father was saying. "It's good to finally see the sun again." Her mother said, "Sounds good. I can take the car." Meg rubbed her hands on the furry coats. She heard her father say, "So you'll take Meg home?" And she heard her mother say, "Are you taking Meg with you?" But she didn't hear anyone answer. When Meg came out, she saw her red coat still hanging on its hook, but her mom and dad weren't there. Meg tried to be brave, but she couldn't help it when a tear slipped down her cheek. She felt alone and afraid. The next time the door opened, Meg heard a familiar voice. "Meg, what are you doing here all by yourself?" It was Mrs. Hughes, Meg's Sunday school teacher, with her baby, Robert. "I don't know where my mom and dad are," Meg said. She didn't mean to cry, but her voice sounded kind of squeaky. Robert wasn't crying. He was blowing raspberries. "Oh, Meg," said Mrs. Hughes. "It's okay. We'll find them. I left my phone in the car, but I'll ask to use someone's phone, and then we'll call your mom." Meg started to feel a little bit better. The next person to come in was someone else Meg recognized. It was the man who played the piano every Sunday while everyone sang the hymns. Mrs. Hughes asked him to call Meg's mom on his phone. After a minute, Meg heard him say, "Hello, is this Meg's mom?" "Yes, Meg is safe. She's here at the church with Mrs. Hughes. There must have been a mistake." Then he held his phone up to Meg's ear. "Mom?" Meg said. This time her voice didn't sound quite so squeaky. "Where are you?" "Oh, Meg," she heard her mom say, "I'm so sorry. Dad and I must have gotten mixed up and we both left for home without you. I'm going to call Dad right now and have him go back to get you. While you wait, Mrs. Hughes and our church friends will take care of you. I love you, Meg." While Meg had been on the phone, Mrs. Hughes had been busy getting help. Soon, people started coming into the room. A teenager came in with a box of tissues so Meg could blow her nose. A woman came in and gave Meg a bottle of water and a bag of cookies. "Those are from the pastor's office," she winked, "but he won't mind." A man came in with a stack of storybooks from the Sunday school room. "I thought you might want to look at these while you wait." Meg was hardly sad at all now. And when baby Robert began to fuss, she even made a silly face to make him laugh. In no time at all, the doors opened again. It was Meg's dad. "Meg!" he said, and gave her a big hug. "I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" Meg squeezed his neck. Then she looked around at all the people who had helped her. Mrs. Hughes, who first helped her not to feel alone. The man who shared his phone. The teenager who brought tissues. The woman who brought a snack. The man who gave her the storybooks. And all the people who had come to make sure she was okay. "I'm fine," Meg told her dad. "I'm really fine." Meg's dad reached up and got her coat from its hook. "I'm sorry you were left alone," he said, "but I'm thankful you weren't alone for long. God took care of you." "God?" Meg asked. She was confused. She had been thinking about her new church friends. "Yes," her dad said. "God gave us church friends to take care of us. When we are alone or scared or need help, the people at church are our friends. They love us because they love God, and God shows his love for us by sending them to help." "I'm a church friend too," Meg said. "I made baby Robert smile when he was sad." Meg looked back. "I'm glad I have church friends," she said. And then Meg and her dad walked home. The end.
Now, do you think that's a realistic story? Because I do. I think if any little kid got left at our church, needed some help, they'd find there were all sorts of people who were willing to help them, all sorts of people who knew them, and they know they wouldn't be alone. They'd have some people here that were really kind of part of their family. You know, from the very beginning of the Christian church, 2,000 years ago or more, people in the church used to call each other brothers and sisters because, well, they were kind of like family to each other. And it was really important for them to know that there were people there that they could rely on. Sometimes we wonder if going to church is really important. And the bigger question is being part of the family of God really important? And the answer to that is absolutely it is. Just like Meg found all sorts of people to help her, we find all sorts of people here at church to help us throughout our life. And more than that, we find people that we can help too. When God called us to believe in him, it wasn't just us and him together and only the two of us. It was God called us into kind of a new family where we could be with each other and worship with each other and have good times with each other and struggle through hard times with each other and just be, well, the family of God. And I hope that some of you who only watch this on a computer or a phone find that sometime you might give a try of coming in to being with us at church. See what it's like to be here. See what it's like to be a part of a family. God made us to be together, and I think that we don't do what God wants us to do very well if we try to do it just by ourselves, even if we just try to do it by ourselves with God. So I hope sometime, if I don't see you on Sunday mornings, I might maybe see you and your family, and I can promise you if you get left here, we'll take care of you. Probably won't happen, right? But just remember that God made us to be together, not to be separate. And he gave us the church as a place to do that in. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. I hope for some of you, you're probably getting off school. Summer's starting, right? And we'll catch you next week. Bye.